Derek, is it just all about making sure you get the job done this weekend?
Yeah, obviously we don't need to do it this weekend, but we'd like to. That's the intention. You know, obviously we've been fourth spot for a while now. We're enjoying where we're at. It was a great feeling watching last weekend, the fact that we got into qualified for Europe with 4 games to spare, but now we just want to try and finish off, which has been a fantastic campaign for the lads, just to try and finish off now with securing that 4th spot. So there's still a job to be done to do that, and hopefully we can do that job on Saturday.
How do you view this one, because St Mirren still have something to fight for as well?
Yeah, obviously they're in a fight with Dundee for 5th, and they're in a fight with us for 4th. You know, our games with St Mirren, my couple of years here, has been pretty tight, but we've had a pretty good record against them. That said, you know, we've got to make sure at this stage of the season, and I've said it for long enough now for the players, for us to get improvements, we need to try and make sure the motivation remains really high. We don't feel for a moment that we've secured 4th spot. We feel that there's still work to be done. We want to still try and push the players to the limits and see what we can get out of this season. And to get 4th spot means a lot, and it should do for the players. And I think that you know, it's important that they recognise there's still that job to be done.
The fact that you've put yourselves in a strong position, has that allowed you to maybe look ahead to next season in terms of sorting out contracts and potentially?
Yeah, it's night and day from last season when we didn't know which division we're in, so we have been in a position to offer players contracts, speak to 1 or 2 players who we're not going to be able to speak to players from out with and agents about potential targets. We don't anticipate doing a lot of work. We've got the majority of squad signed up for the next campaign. But at the same token, we've still, although we have secured top 6, secured European football, there's still a job to be done, and you know, we've still got to kind of concentrate on what's the most pressing thing, and the pressing thing is to try and win another 3 points a weekend.
We're just speaking to Marley there about his contract situation. Are you hopeful that...
What's he saying?
Well, he's saying that he's hopeful as well.
Yeah, listen, I've got a good relationship with him. I totally respect his circumstances. You know, these boys they're all players with families, and some players are at different stages of their life, never mind their careers. So you know, I think we've had enough conversations with Marley that there's a lot of goodwill for him to be here. A lot of positives for Marley to be here as well, and from his point of view. So hopefully we can get the right outcome.
How beneficial, Derek, is it? I know it may sound simple, but just to have that solid foundation for next season, just as a manager, because obviously we spoke to you last season and it was very much different. Just what can that do for the club?
I think continuity is really important. I think having a core and a kind of structure within the club, you know, a culture within the club, really, with players used to working a certain way, used to working with the demand that we put on them, the demand they put on themselves. Having that kind of core group of players is pivotal, you know, and having that continuity, I think, can only be beneficial. But let every manager looking to try and tweak it here and there, try to make those improvements. I think it's important that you're always in recruitment, whatever window it is, to try and improve your starting 11, and it's not just about beefing up the squad. So we've worked with smaller numbers this year than we did previously. But I do think we've worked effectively and more efficiently, and hopefully, you know, we can continue to add what we want to add to the squad in terms of types and players that can maybe bring something a wee bit different. Because if you can't, when you're working at a certain level and money sometimes an issue, if you can't get better, get something different, and that's really what we're kind of looking for.
Seen a normal summer transfer window, how many players get put to you, and how many do you look at?
A day?
No, just over a course of a...
Oh, don't know.
What are you talking about?
I don't know. I couldn't even put a figure on that. You know, you're getting constantly sent agents who you've built up relationships with. You're getting all their brochures through from way back. We've had out a contract list for a while now, but you're also getting randoms and foreign agents, more and more so, to be honest now. Seems to be a lot more agents out there. On any given day, even this morning, I've probably been contacted by about 5 or 6 agents, and that's just me. Not always by a phone call, but by messaging or email. So Russ, our head of recruitment, will be probably 2 or 3 times that a day, you know, so there's a lot of players out there. Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad players out there as well, and we only want to look at good ones. So it's try to work your way through that. You know what I mean? Sometimes you don't want to. Sometimes you've got a history with certain agencies. You know they know you've the kind of levels, and they know the kind of the types of players that you're looking for. They know roughly the salaries, but there's a lot of times where foreign agents or foreign companies, they don't know the levels, and sometimes you can be looking at a player, but first port of call for us is the out of contract, free agents and loans, rather than looking at whether they're a good player first and foremost, because there's no point in spending a lot of time looking at players that are just out with your reach.
Your squad does have quite a lot of tried and tested Premiership players in there. Is that intentional when you're looking at bringing players in?
Yeah, it was a total contrast to last season. We had so many playing first team football first time for a lot of them, like certainly loans, and we had a lot of players playing Premier League football for the first time last year. And I was kind of envious of the likes of your Mirrens and all these teams who had battle-hardened Premier League players. You know, we feel we've kind of passed that now, and we've got something similar. We've got players who know their way around a pitch, know the level. We've still got a good core who are potentially ready to go, and they've maybe got another move in them at something at a higher level, but they're at a good age where they can make those improvements, and I think that's important to have that key age, and having a lot of your first team players and squad of that key age, you know, and I think we've got that between 23 and 27 players who can potentially still have the potential to go again.
Derek, you mentioned towards the start of the season that you finally felt you had your team or your squad. Even with that, has it been almost a bit of a surprise to see how successful they've been this season? Not
a surprise. I think it's we've maximised the expectation. Quietly, we would have hoped to get into top six. And I said to you all at the start of the season, any team who can get into top six would have potentially an outside chance of Europe. You know, the fact that we get into the top six before the split shows, you know, that was a great level of work. We didn't just sneak into top six, we were there and we'd been there for a long time. I wanted us to act like a top six team this season, and I asked that of the players, and I think we have performed like a top six team throughout the campaign. But being in the top six, you do have the potential to get Europe, and that's obviously we've managed to secure that. So I think it's easy to say what you would want and easy to believe in what you want, but it's another thing doing it. And I think that, in answer to your question, not exceeded expectations, but I think we've actually matched with expectations. And if we can secure fourth, that would be fantastic.
Marley joked that he's kind of hoping for maybe somewhere hot for a European competition or one of the biggest teams to test. Have you had the chance to look at some potential oppositions?
I thought you were going to say he's looking for somewhere hot for an excellent club. But for we haven't looked too far at that. You know, I think it's clear that we'll be excited by that when it comes round. But I think the time to reflect and look forward to that is more once we've completed these 3 games. To be honest, you know, I think it's kind of foolish of us to kind of take our eye off the ball at the minute and just concentrate. But you know, hopefully we can have more than a few good nights here at Rugby Park for the Killie fans to enjoy, playing different types and different styles. And I think it's something that we should be always striving for as a club, and hopefully it can become something of a pattern rather than something we just do every now and then.
Do you see this, David, as the start of a prolonged success? The foundations have been built, you can move on. Do you see this as being a start of
I hope so. I think there's a lot of things have to go your way with that. You've got to have that continued support from people above. We could do the season tickets at this stage of the season are already way ahead of what they've been, so we could again strive for more numbers coming through the door, which helps matters. Every bit of finance is important. Prize money, on pitch performance prize money is important. European money is important if we can generate a few games here at the very least to try and generate funds. And then you've got a body of work and evidence of work. You're trying to get players to come. You're not just pitching the level, you're not just pitching quality, you're actually saying, look, if you can come here, we can enhance your career, you can give you European football, the like. So I think it's once you're there, it's important that we try and keep looking for those improvements. I think because we've got a core of the squad signed up, if we continue to be smart and make good signings in recruitment, then for next season, for example, I'm looking for us to be better again, but it's easy to say that, but we've got to go and do it again. But so I do hope it is a chance for us to kind of establish ourselves going forward, but it's we've done well this season. Next season is another challenge altogether.
How pleased were you to see David Watson pick up the PFA Young Fairly Award on Sunday?
Is it no just brilliant? What a story it is. It is, you know, and I know a lot of people, managers speak to me about him, people in the street, supporters from other clubs, they always make reference to wee Watson. You know, he's a credit to his family, he's their boy, but we feel like he's ours, to be honest, at the club. He's been around the club for so long, and we were so proud when he picked up his award. We were hopeful, but you're never totally confident with that. And the fact that he's been recommended by you guys as well, sports writers, as part of nominations is fantastic as well.
With that type of accolade in the season he's had, it's maybe only natural that there might be a bit of speculation about him going into the summer. Is that the type of thing you're prepared for?
I think there should be. I think we should expect speculation about Davy. I think that we should expect clubs being more than aware of him, on the radar are bigger clubs than us. You know, that's the way it goes, and we'd be surprised if there wasn't. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but he's been a fantastic story for us for the academy. A real kind of flagship, really, signing for a player for that. You know, and being able to, we've signed a few more players since David's been really established himself in the team, and he's a great way for canvassing and try to get these boys to sign. So we're confident that we can keep more younger players at Killie. There's a couple we've agreed over the last wee while that we've got high hopes for as well. But I think Davy is one that we would like to hang about a bit longer. As a manager, you want to try and hold on to your best players for as long as you can, but we understand the market, and if there is offers coming from, as I expect, it's something that we'd have to look at, but we don't want to lose him. I think he's a credit to himself. I think he's only going to get better. I think he's in good company with the nominees around him, and to come out on top is fantastic for him. And to win the, if he can win the sports writers, and if he can, and he's already won the PFA award, there's been a lot of top players who have won that and went on to brilliant careers, and I think he'll win another one.
Squad news?
Greg Stewart back training this week from his hernia operation, so again we've tried to manage that. So he came back training this week, so he'll be back in contention for the weekend. James Balagizi, who's been out with a knee issue, again we hope he's not trained yet this week, but hoping maybe towards the end of the week, so he could come into contention. Just Brad Lyons, who had to come off injured last week at Ibrox, had a scan and he's out for the next 2 to 3 weeks, so effectively miss the season with a hamstring issue, which isn't ideal. Kel McInnes is still out long term, and Joe Wright is suspended.
Another sold-out away end this weekend. How impressed have you been with the fans this season and since you got here? And you know, are you happy that their backing is translated, you know, onto the pitch and the success that you've had?
Yeah, I think it works both ways. That, you know, I think the fans would obviously, you know, when we first came in, there was a lot of scepticism. You know, a lot of fans felt no good about themselves. The fact that we were in the championship the first time for a long time, and like everything, support need convinced. They need to feel a trust in their team. They also need to want to wake up on a Saturday morning and can't wait to see them. I think we've established that. I think that it's something that pleases me, that the supporters have there's an identity about the team. I think there's a bit of pride in the team. I think they know what they're going to get for the team. Some days better than others, but every day there's a full commitment there. And you know, we go there in big numbers. I didn't realise until I became commandant manager how many fans we actually took to Paisley. And every occasion we've been there, they've sold out at that end, and it's been made a lot of noise, and it's a big deal for St Mirren on Saturday as well. So it should have a feel like a really important game, which it is, but the players have always responded to that, and hopefully we can again Saturday.